you recognize, for those of you who are faithfully and are faithfully attending, good for you. You will know to make note of it. Your attendance will count. Thank you for being on time. You will note that from the beginning of the semester, we've started off with things about how to study. But now towards the end of the semester, perhaps some of you start feeling a little stressed, and things are coming due, and things are piling up as we build to final exams. So we're going to have some sessions on self-care. This is part 1 on self-care, and so very important. How to balance what you need to do for others, for your grades, for your teachers, and then for your own self-care. How do you balance that? How do you do that? And some of you, if you don't know this wonderful person, you should. Down in the Success Center. It's called Success Center for a reason. And that reason is that, as we've been telling you from the beginning, here at Berman, faculty and staff want you to succeed. Okay? But you have to play a role in that success. We can't make you be successful. But we do try our best to give you the resources, the kinds of attention in class from professors, to allow you to be successful. Now, part of being successful in this class means, okay, I'm glad to see computers down and away. Thank you. I see your pens and note papers are out. Good. Also, remember, ladies and gentlemen, please do not take calls during class. Last class period, after my speech, halfway through class, somebody got up with their phone and ran out to take a call. Okay? You can't survive for about 40 minutes without taking a phone call. Okay? Fair enough? Remember, I promised to you that at about 10:02, we give you a break. Okay? You may think of it as a mental health break. But seriously, I'm very glad that we have the presentation today. This is very important information. I wish I had this when I was going to school. It might have saved me some grief. But, those are the old days where you sort of had to look after yourself and sink or swim and care. Well, you did sort of care. Thank you. Please.
Sink or swim, I like that. Some of you might feel like you're sinking right now. With the term on the downhill slope now. Shocking. I don't know where the first 2 months is going. So, for those who don't know me, I am Elise Kruithof, and I work over at the Success Center. So, between some of the other activities we've done, and we were out at the Q-Quest camp, so I'm hoping I am a familiar face. So as John said, over at the Success Center, our goal really is to ensure students have what they need to be successful while they're here at university. So if there's any classes where you think you need a tutor, we arrange that. If you feel like you're just don't know what to do, you can come in and chat with our counselor. Every other Wednesday, we have a masseuse come in and he does chair massages for individuals. And on the days he's not there, we actually have a chair massage. The big black chair that you're welcome to sit in and relax in and use it as part of your self-care, which is our topic today. So what we're going to focus on today, and it may be something you're kind of like, yeah, self-care, heard it, done it, know it, move on. I know you've all heard of self-care, but my guess is you guys don't practice it as well as you could, because none of us do. We all think sometimes we know what we're doing, but we're not. And quite often, it's the one activity that gets shuttled to the end of the day, or it completely falls off the schedule because we're so busy doing everything else. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at what self-care is, why it's important, and the fact that it should never be seen as something selfish. And I'll touch on that in a minute. Then I'm going to look at different aspects of self-care. I'm going to give you what I think are the top 4 pieces of self-care. And then we'll just end, I have some activities for you guys to do. And then we'll just end with some final thoughts about self-care. So hopefully by the end of class today, you will have a better understanding of what you currently do for self-care, but also some ideas on how to incorporate other elements of self-care into your daily life. Because it should be a daily activity that you're involved in, because it definitely has an impact on every aspect of our well-being. So mental, physical, emotional, all of that. So when we are talking about self-care, we are talking about deliberate action you take to help restore some balance in your life, in your week, in your day, so that you don't feel so overwhelmed by things that are going on. So it replenishes you rather than depleting you. So sometimes, especially in a faith-based institution like ours, if you were brought up in whether it's the SBA church or another type of religion, quite often the focus really is on servicing others, doing for others before you do for yourself. And that is a nice motto to live by, but the reality is we need to take care of ourselves before we put everything out there. You've all been on a plane, I'm assuming, and you know the safety check they do where they say put the mask on before you help anybody else? There's a reason to say that. Because if you're not in a good state, you're not going to be able to do anything well around you. Whether that's studying, working, engaging with your friends. If you are not in a good mental space, it makes everything else that much harder. Think of the last time you were sick or tired or really mad at somebody, or so frazzled that you didn't know what you were going to do. The smallest thing makes you crumble. Something that wouldn't bother you any other day of the week, suddenly it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. You can't, I can't. I'm just going to go under the covers and pull it over and sleep for 12 hours. That's what happens when you don't take care of ourselves. So think about your studies. Think about if you're having to balance studying, working, making new friends, navigating a campus that might be new to you. All of that takes time, it takes energy. When we look after ourselves, these are things that, even if they don't work out perfectly or challenges pop up, we're able to navigate them so much better when we keep ourselves looked after. And you're here now, so for most of you, you're not going to have your mom saying, did you? Now start doing it for yourself. I love this. Have you ever called the IT people and said, my computer's not working? And the first thing they ask you, did you turn it off and turn it on again? Kind of reboots. It's the same for us. Even if it's at the end of the day, having a good night's sleep, it helps you reboot. So when you wake up in the morning, you can handle things. You can navigate things. So going back to this idea that self-care is selfish, I tried to look, I don't know if there's any religious studies students in here, but I tried to look in the Bible where it actually said, do good self-care. There's nothing in the Bible that is quite that explicit. But there are lots of examples where we see people in the Bible who actually are engaging in self-care. looking after themselves after they've been supporting other people. So this is one example. So after the miraculous feeding of the 5,000, immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. And when evening came, he was still there alone, taking time for himself, re-energizing, connecting with his Father. So we need to get out of our mind that we're not important enough to spend time on ourselves, because we are. These were just some more examples. So make yourself a priority and look after yourself. So why is it important? You can't pour from an empty cup. If you spend all your time studying, when it comes time to take the test and you've done nothing else, even if you have all that information up here, it may not be able to get you the paper. When we talk about sleep, how many of you are in psychology or like biology, where you learn about the importance of sleep on your body and how sleep is a time when your body and your brain are working really hard to help you consolidate memories and information that you gathered throughout the day. So, I know finals are coming up. I encourage all of you to not study through the night. If you're the kind of person who thinks, oh no, I do better when I cram last minute and I stay up all night. There's a lot of research that shows if you really want to learn that information, you need a good night's sleep so that the next morning your brain has it all organized and ready to go. It's a hard sell though to students who have worked once. Oh, they haven't worked last time. It'll be all right. But we'll get to sleep, because that's one of my big four, I guess. Let's put it that way. When we look after ourselves, amazing things happen to our body, both physically and mentally. And one of them is that we have the ability to be resilient. So we have the ability to navigate life when things don't go the way we plan. And who has a life that goes the way you plan, right? So we need to be able to adapt, to change directions, to navigate, whether it's in a class, a last-minute exam, roommates, where you're having an argument or fighting, with a boyfriend or girlfriend or partner of some kind, when things don't go the way you expected. When you look after yourself, these are things you see as challenges, as opposed to obstacles that you can't get over. That's why self-care is so important. Now, I mentioned you, I know you guys are all first year here on our campus, so there's probably, since you got here at the end of August, there's been a lot of things you've had to adapt to, a lot of things you've had to learn to navigate. So, changes in responsibility. So now you're living in a dorm, you might have a roommate, you're having to manage your own schedule, you're having to get to class on time, you gotta remember to do your laundry, all these things that you might not have been responsible for when you, before you came here. For some, there's a financial strain. Okay, university is not cheap. So, for some individuals, they're here, they have student loans, they have family that is paying for them to be here, so they feel a sense of responsibility to ensure they do well, as not to let their family down. For some, it's maybe the first time you've been separated from your family for this long, this far away. And I know at first it might, my mom and dad telling me what to do. But then suddenly, oh, I miss my mom. She doesn't wake me up, you know? So that might be something you're also having to navigate. Competing responsibilities. So how many of you have 5 classes? Okay, there's 5 professors all with high expectations on what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going campus surrounded by, I guess our campus, hundreds of people, and still feel like you're very much alone. That you have no friends, that you have no social group, maybe all your friends went somewhere else. So, learning how to navigate that, having to make new friends, having to have the courage to go out to social events. Okay? All of this takes a toll on us. And if we are not looking after ourselves, it can quickly become overwhelming. We see this every week in our center, based on all of these. And the closer we get to finals, the more students we're going to see coming in and saying, oh, I didn't know I had so much to do. I thought I had weeks to do it, and it's next week. So that sense of being overwhelmed, not learning maybe how to schedule the way they thought they should be, we would schedule. So did you know that when you were in high school, 80% of your learning in high school takes place in the classroom? And you only have to do 20% out of class, all that homework they give you. At university, it's just the opposite. 20% of your learning happens here. The other 80% is on your shoulders outside of the classroom. So that's a big shift. So a lot of times first year students come here, they're it's like this big wave that crashes over them when they realize, whoa, I have to study that much? It's not what they expected. So again, learning how to regulate your day and look after yourself so you don't become, you don't have that sense of that wave crashing over you. Self-care can help mitigate some of that. So we're just going to look at some of the benefits of self-care. Even though you may know them, or not, we'll quickly review them. So it has a positive impact on your emotional health. And when we go through the top 4, you'll see why. But there is definitely a link between how well you look after yourself and your mental well-being. In your physical health. And again, when you see my top 4, you'll see why it improves your physical health. Strengthens your immune system. And that one is a surprise for a lot of people. They don't realize that looking after or engaging in healthy self-care actually can prevent you from getting sick. This is the one I thought you guys would very much like. That it increases attention and productivity. So what it means is that when you are at work, when you are in class, when you are doing your papers or your studying, you get a lot more out of your session than you would if you weren't looking after yourself. So you're better able to focus. You're better able to remember what it is you hear, and you're able to get more done. All of which I've never heard a student complain about that one. And it helps you interact with and nurture others. So typically, depending on the type of self-care you engage in, it can help you make social connections. And when we go through some of the different activities that you can use for self-care, this is something I'll say over and over. You've got to find something that works for you. Okay, I have my top 4 that work for me. You might look at those and say, yeah, no. Okay, 2 of them I know will happen because they're done. But that's okay. If one of them doesn't work for you, you have so many options out there that you can find something that works for you. And that's the trick. If it's not something that about your central nervous system. So there's two elements or two sides of that we're going to talk about in relation to self-care. One is your sympathetic nervous system, which is quite often likened to the gas pedal of your body. So that's the system in your body that kicks into gear when you are under stress or feel threatened. Fight, flight, freeze. So this is the part, when it kicks into gear, it prepares your body to respond to some type of threat. And an upcoming exam can be a threat. So your physiological response to that could be this ramping up of your sympathetic nervous system. So your heart rate increases, your blood pressure increases. There's certain aspects of your body that shut down or minimize themselves because they're dealing with a threat. So one of those big ones is digestion. Blood goes to your extremities so you can run away or fight, depending on what you're going to do. Or you might just freeze. So we've sometimes had professors bring students over during an exam because the student froze. They're like, I can't remember anything I studied. I don't even remember how to write my name. It's that stressful for them. So this is a physiological reaction that they're having. When we engage in self-care, we engage what the other side of that system, which is our parasympathetic nervous system. And this is often described as the brakes. So what that part of your nervous system does is it brings your body back to its resting state. So when we engage in self-care and different activities, and I'll expand on this in a minute, we engage that system, and a physiological reaction begins that starts to calm down and bring your physiological responses back to a resting state. One of the best ways to engage that system is deep breathing. And depending on where you are on like mindfulness and yoga and deep breathing, some people are like, yeah, right, whatever. I used to be one of those people. But the physiological changes that take place in your brain and this parasympathetic nervous system, amazing for calming you down and helping you get out of your own head and come back to the present moment and start that whole relaxation process. If deep breathing isn't for you, and we're going to talk about this because it's one of the big four, laughter. Laughter will engage that same process within your brain. So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling stressed, take 5 minutes out of your day to watch something funny, to read something funny, to watch funny cat videos, whatever. Because it will start a trigger response within your body to help you start to calm down. Okay, I won't go much more into the science, but it does help. Once you start to engage that system through whichever method of self-care you engage in, you start to feel more relaxed. Your stress response slows down. Your heart rate will start to come down. Your breathing will start to relax. If you were someone who was under a lot of stress, you were, whether it was nauseous or constipated or had an upset stomach, you can start minimizing that discomfort as well. It's all related to engaging that system, the parasympathetic nervous system. So, there are some myths out there about self-care. One of them we already talked about is that this idea that it's selfish, that when you engage in self-care, you're focusing on yourself when you should be focusing on others. And that it's an indulgence. It isn't. It is a healthy practice to ensure overall mental health and wellness. It's a one-time experience. The number of times I have people say, oh, no, but I get a massage once a month. That's my self-care. I'm good. I have not massages, they're amazing. One great aspect of self-care, but you need self-care more than once a month. So if that's one of your self-care activities, great, but it can't be your only one. Especially if it's only once a month. And this fact that it has to be time consuming. Here's the thing, it doesn't have to be time consuming at all. There are some things you are already doing in your life that you can tweak it slightly that would help you engage in really helpful, healthy self-care without adding much time, if any, to your already packed daily schedule. So before we go on to the next, is it time for a break? I've lost track. No, we've got a couple minutes to go. Okay, you know what I'll do? I'm going to do this slide, and I'm going to hand this out to you, and then when we're done with this, you can take a break, and then we'll be back. Okay. So, practicalities of self-care. Keep it basic. Don't think you have to come up with this elaborate plan. Oh, thank you. Yes, yes. It doesn't have to be an elaborate plan, and when you see my big four, you'll even understand that more. Schedule it into your day. Don't assume that self-care is just going to automatically happen at some point throughout the day. It needs to be an intentional activity that you are using and recognizing as something you are doing to benefit yourself. And if you don't schedule it into your day, it likely won't happen. It'll keep getting brushed aside. Oh, I'll do that later. How many times do you do that with exercise? Right? This is an aspect of self-care. I'll do it later. Oh, I've got to study for this. I don't have time to exercise. Yes, you do, because that's a very important aspect of being a good student and being a good learner. So schedule it into your day. Again, be intentional. Know why you're doing what you're doing. So have you ever had a food, like you were thinking all day, oh, I really want to have a blizzard from Dairy Queen.
Yes.
And then you're rushing through your day, and you get a chance to go to Dairy Queen, you get it, and you're driving back up to the campus, and the next thing you know, the blizzard's gone, and you're like, did I already eat that? I can't even remember the taste of those Oreo crumbs since I was eating it. Yeah, I love it. I love blizzards. So you engaged maybe in a piece of self-care, but you weren't intentional about it, and you didn't enjoy it. Or you're watching your favorite sitcom, and you're also trying to answer someone on the phone, or on a text, or you're scrolling social media, and you don't know either of them because you didn't pay attention really. You were trying to divide your time. So you don't know what you watched, and oh, what did my friend tell me? Where did she say to me? So being intentional and really paying attention to whatever activity you're doing. And again, knowing what you're trying to accomplish. And be kind to yourself. Do any of you do yoga? Anybody in here do yoga? Okay. Yoga works.
Ashley does yoga.
Yoga is, I have a love-hate relationship with yoga. It looks so easy, and then you try to do it, and some of their moves are so hard. And you know, you're falling over, you're twisting, and it's like, how am I supposed to do this? Am I so uncoordinated I can't, do the airplane or whatever? Be kind to yourself. Any skill you're learning takes time. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to your best friend who you were trying to support. Maybe not when you're mad, but you're trying to support. Be kind to yourself. As you learn how to identify and engage in really healthy self-care. Okay, before we look at the different elements of self-care,
Who wants one? I got one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you're done, take 5, and I challenge you to run outside in the cold and take 3 good deep breaths. Amen. Okay?
I'm learning about self-care.
Very good. Very good. Work.
Okay, let's get going.
Email to let people know we had some left over if they wanted to come get it, and they did. Yes, the soup is gone, the muffins are gone.
What did you so much stress right now? What did you make? She made the pork bag. You made the pork bag.
Yes.
They always have food.
keep an eye on, yes. So hopefully, that little activity we just did gave you a sense of what you're already doing that could be identified as self-care. That putting on that handout, the marine biologist did that. The back page of that handout, you will see a copy of this wheel up there. So keep your finger turned to that while we go through the next part of this presentation. And if you see anything on the slides, because I'm going to go through each of those domains, that you think is something you are not currently doing that you'd like to try and work into your self-care, put it into the appropriate section of this wheel. And that way you won't forget any ideas that you hear about that you might want to do. Because, again, self-care is going to look different for everybody. Even if you know other people who do, whether it's exercise or reading or socializing, what works for them in terms of socializing might look different for someone else in terms of socializing. So it's not, it's going to be different in many ways. So there's this idea of emotional self-care. So these are activities that help you connect with other people. They're activities that help you recognize and process your own emotions or emotional reactions you've had throughout the day. And they're activities that help you reflect on things you may have gone through or experienced, or maybe you met somebody and it set you off, and you got mad and you're not sure why. Just looking back and trying to understand what was going on, why did I have that reaction, what was happening. But here are some ideas up here for emotional self-care. So again, in your wheel, your blank wheel, if you see something you're not doing that you're interested in, you can write it in.
Everybody got your wheel going?
Yes.
Your wheel going?
So start a journal.
Your wheel going?
Journaling doesn't work for everybody. And if it's not something again, well then move on. Watch a funny movie, express your feelings. And again, the way you express your feelings can look different for everybody. It might be through art. It might be through poetry. It might be through prayer. It might be through writing a song or a limerick sometimes.
This is my worst self-care.
I would just, and this is one I encourage all of you to learn to develop. Learning to say no. There's no harm in telling somebody, no, I can't help you today. No, I can't. So I'm in the helping profession, and it's really hard. Okay, it used to be really hard for me to say no. Because you want to help people. My whole goal is to assist
Okay,
them,
pay attention, folks.
to help them, to try and figure out things. So I finally stumbled across a really great way to say no. So if it's something I might like to do, but I'm not sure I have time, I always say, let me think about it. So I'm not saying no, but I'm giving myself some breathing space to figure out if it's really something I can work into my schedule. So let me think about it. I'll get back to you tomorrow. If it's something I know I don't want to be involved in, my response will be, no, I can't help you. But if I think of anyone who can, I will let you know. So I'm putting my boundaries in place, but I'm also indicating to the person I'm talking to, I'm not going to leave you on that information or connected to it. But once I learned that skill, oh boy, I created a nice safe space around myself so that I didn't always feel like, oh, I have to say yes. And sometimes you'll get people and they're really pressuring you, well, I need to know right now. Well, I can't give you an answer right now, so if you need an answer right now, it's no. Oh, okay, think about it. But again, you at least give yourself then the time to really ponder if it's something you want to take on. So learning to say no. Again, it isn't selfish. It's learning what you can and can't do, learning how to delegate your time and your energy. And here's another one that's not on the list, but I'm going to say it. It sounds mean, but it isn't. Cut toxic people out of your life. If you have people in your life who are bringing you down, create space between you and them. Because this is something I learned when I was a student missionary. I was in Indonesia, and the person who when you go to be a student missionary, they never keep you with your friends. They always separate you. So I ended up with someone who was, I was going to say anybody here named Debbie. We know the expression, don't be a Debbie Downer, but I don't want to offend a Debbie. So we got to come up with a different thing. Don't be a downer. What? Jose? It wasn't until she left that I truly recognized the negative impact she was having on my life. And on my experience of being a student missionary. Because everything was that much more difficult because of her attitude, her negativity, everything. So, if you feel like you have people in your life who are not adding positive experiences, and that's not to say every time you have an argument with someone, if you can work it through and grow from that experience, it's not negative. It's an experience that's helping you learn. But if it's you constantly having to pick them up, pull them up, to accommodate them, to give in to them, there's only one person benefiting from that relationship, and it's not you. Good self-care would be creating that space between you and that person. But I know it sounds very unchristian-like, right? But our choices. Accept compliments. We're so bad at it. Someone says, oh, your outfit is adorable. Oh, this little thing? I picked this up at the second-hand store. That's such an insult to them. They go out of their way to say something nice to you and you dismiss it. It's kind of a slap in the face, right? Thank you. Smile or cry it out. There's actually a lot of science in the release of emotions and negativity and toxicity when it comes to shedding tears. So there's no shame in crying, people. Ask for help if you need it. And again, if you don't want to ask your friends, if you don't want to ask the RA, if you don't want to ask the dean, come to the Hall of Success. We're there for students to ask us for assistance and help. So, not by any means an exhaustive list, but some ideas for emotional self-care. Physical self-care. Trying new activities. Spending time outside. We're going to touch on this one because there is so much science behind the benefits of being outside. What's missing from this classroom? Windows! I hate this classroom. This is like the worst classroom. There is no natural light. There are no windows. Nothing talents that God gave you. Cook more meal. Okay, this one's kind of hard for you guys, I know. So come to the Sakala Success Center where we have trainings and you get good food.
Oh yeah.
Dance it out. Zumba. You go to Zumba. Dance it out. Have a camper day. And then this one, these two are kind of going together. Being outside. So again, those are ideas for physical self-care. Relational self-care. So these are activities that help you nurture, strengthen, and deepen relationships that you have with other people. It can be family, it can be friends, important individuals in your life. I've even had people talk about their pets and the impact their pets have on mental self-care. Again, a lot of science behind how pets and whether they lower your stress level. We, in the past, have brought in puppies to our center. When we can get our hands on puppies, so if we can arrange it sometime this year, we'll have it well advertised.
Whoa!
It's always our best attended event because everybody loves puppies. Last time we did it, somebody had 8 puppies, we brought them in and they spent the day with us. We had constantly in and out. Yeah. So even your relationships that you have with your pets can be a form of self-care and relaxation. Sorry, I thought plants. If it works for you, I always kill my plants, so I have to have great plants. The other one is spiritual. And again, on our campus, we are a faith-based campus, so this one makes a lot of sense. But for people who aren't affiliated with a specific religion, even anything that helps you feel connected to something bigger than yourself, something bigger than and this could be practicing compassion for other people. It could be giving back, recognizing there's a power greater than you. So again, there's ideas up there as well. You have a copy of these slides that were posted on your D2L page. So if you can't write them all down. So attending religious services, spending time in nature, meditation or prayer. Oh, I guess I wrote that there. Awareness and appreciation of nature and other people, expressing writing. But also I think this would be participating in other activities, whether it's related to the church or a community organization that's giving back to the community in some way or another. And then intellectual self-care or professional self-care. For you guys, this one's pretty easy because you're already engaging in a lot of learning, whether it's learning information, learning new skills, research, listening to podcasts, a new skill, gain clarity on goals and values, and then advocating for others. Those are all, again, examples of what's called intellectual self-care. So, developing and applying your critical thinking skills, problem solving. Those types of activities that, again, create within you a sense of resiliency, a deeper understanding of what your capabilities are, a sense of accomplishment. All of those go into self-care activities. So, the big 4. I know you guys are all busy. You're all students. You've got the busiest time of the term coming up. So if you do nothing else in relation to self-care, these are 4 things you're already doing some version I know this one again, most of you eat at the cafeteria. Now, I don't eat much at the cafeteria, so my kids went to school here. They never complained much. So hopefully you can find food at the cafeteria that is healthy, nourishing. Here's the thing. I like to live by the 80-20 rule when it comes to nutrition. 80% healthy, 20%, you can do either 20-80, healthy, not healthy, or 80% of the time I'm eating really healthy food, 20% of the time I'm indulging in some way.
Whoa.
Well, it's a good way to balance so you don't feel like you're missing out on anything, but overwhelmingly it's a healthier diet that you're engaged in. But here's the thing, the health issues in North America, because people have bad eating habits, they don't understand proper nutrition, leads to chronic illness, it leads to high blood pressure, it leads to clogged arteries, high cholesterol, obesity, all which have a negative impact on every other aspect of your mental health and wellness. So having an understanding of what encompasses a healthy diet, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, whole grains, building on those while still enjoying some of the, chocolate cake, the blizzard from Dairy Queen on occasion. So making conscientious decisions, and this is where, again, I was saying be intentional. Be intentional on how you choose your food and when you eat it. Snacking, I know it goes against what Ellen's wife says. But again, snacking doesn't have to be a bad thing, especially if they're healthy snacks. You guys, learning takes a lot of energy. Studying takes a lot of energy. So it's important to keep your body fueled and hydrated. So having study breaks where you take in healthy snacks and drink water, it's really good self-care. So not skipping meals, and eating healthy fats. Fats for years, maybe not so much now, all through my formative years, fats was such a bad word. Whereas now we understand you need certain types of fat and healthy fats in order for your body to work properly and for your brain to work properly. So hydrate. Choose carefully at the cafeteria. Again, I don't know I know they have a new chef, so has it gotten better? I don't know, I haven't heard. What I have heard is that when people come to our trainings and eat our food, they're always like, oh, it's so good. Because most of it is homemade. Not all of it, but most of it. Here's the other one. And this, I don't know why post-secondary students think sleep deprivation is a rite of passage. But there's this idea that out there, I'm supposed to be sleep deprived when I'm going through university. I have a friend who used to say, no, you can't make memories while you're sleeping, so I'm not going to bed. And it's like, actually, research shows that's when you make your memories, is when you're sleeping. Because that is when your brain, again, is taking all the information it's learned throughout the day, figuring out where to put it in your brain so that tomorrow you can remember it. So that statement is so not true. There's so much to be said for sleep.
Question.
Oh, yes.
What if you realize there's something that you're doing that is affecting your health, but it's like a habit? How do you go from
It is hard to break habits. Really hard. So, with sleep, is it related to sleep? Yeah? hours of sleep a day, that's what everybody needs to be healthy. Yeah, no, that's not true. Most of us, yes. But there is a subset of the population that they can run perfectly fine on 6 hours a day. The trick is to find out what you need and stick to that. So if you're 6 hours a day, make sure you get 6 hours. If you're 8 hours a day, that's me, I have to get 8 hours. Otherwise, I don't. I was asking you earlier, the last time you were sick and you had to deal with a crisis, it's the same when you're sleep deprived. And if you're sleep deprived and you have to deal with something unexpected, it might be a problem this big, but it feels like this big. Because you're not in a mental position because of a lack of sleep to actually handle it. And the same goes with writing exams, with doing assignments. If you want to make the most of your educational experience, you've got to dedicate time to sleep. So, I don't know if you want to share more details of your question or talk to me after class, and we can look at that a little more. Are you sleep deprived right now? Do you think you're sleep deprived? So, there's a link here. I need to send you this because I added it after I sent you this stuff. It's called the spoon test, and it's something you do at home to see how sleep deprived you might be. And it requires you to have a spoon and a metal tray, to hold the spoon like you lay down in bed and you hold the spoon here. You check the time, and then you see how long it takes for you to fall asleep and drop the spoon. You will wake up when the spoon drops because it's going to hit the metal tray at the bottom. Or if you have a good friend, they can sit there and watch you. But if you fall, you do this in the middle of the day. If you fall asleep within 5 minutes, you are sleep deprived. Like not just a little sleep deprived. If it's about 10 minutes before you fall asleep and drop the spoon, you're not getting adequate sleep. You may not be sleep deprived, but you're not getting adequate sleep. If it takes 20 minutes or more, you are good. You're getting the amount of sleep you should be getting. So that's an activity you can do in your dorm room to see how sleep deprived you might be. There's another activity I used to do, but I didn't have enough years. It involves using your non-dominant hands to trace something. And if you can't do, and it's reflected in the mirror. So it's requiring you to do everything backwards. If you're sleep deprived, you cannot do that. Or your star looks like it's got electricity going off. But I didn't have enough years to come here and do it with you guys. So I found this one. So if you're wondering if you may know without a test if you're sleep deprived. My guess is there's a lot of people who are sleep deprived who don't think they're sleep deprived. And they think, oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Chances are you are not. There is so much research out there linking sleep deprivation to mental health problems. And it's a bi-directional impact. So people who live with depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, they have trouble sleeping. But also, people who have trouble sleeping are at a higher risk of developing depression and anxiety. So, knowing what your sleep needs are and getting them are very crucial. So that is a huge piece of self-care. So that's what I mean. It's something you're already doing. You're all already sleeping at night, but are you sleeping the way you need to sleep? So learn adhere to it. Okay, this is my favorite one. This is about getting outside. So this could be part of exercise if you're someone who jogs or skis or skates and you get out in nature. But it doesn't even have to be exercising outside. It's just getting outside. Again, you guys are already doing this because you have to walk from the dorm to whether it's the cafeteria, the science center, coming to here. So you're already getting outside. So how can you do this better? Did you know that all around this campus there are numerous trails that you can walk on? They're beautiful. Yes. Did you know that down there's a lake that Lakeview overlooks? Yes, there's a whole trail that goes around that lake. There's a whole trail that goes behind. If you go, there's another lake out this way. There's a whole trail around that lake. Get outside and explore those trails. So leave for class 20 minutes early and walk around one of those trails. After you're done eating lunch, get out and walk one of those trails. It takes less than 20 minutes a day of being outside to have an incredible positive effect on your mental health. And now that we're going into the darker part of winter, because we all change times, we change our clothes this weekend, guys. I know. Spring, fall back. So we go back now.
Wait, you do?
I know. If you come from a province that doesn't change time or a country that doesn't change time, I'm sorry. Alberta's in the dark into this. But we are going into the time of year where we have less sunlight. We know sunlight and vitamin D is crucial for mental health and wellness. A lack of vitamin D, which you get from sunlight, contributes to seasonal affective disorder. So again, something as simple, even on a cloudy day, getting outside and walking during the daylight hours, something you're already doing, just do it a little better, a little longer. And it can have a great impact on your levels of self-care and your mental health and wellness. In Japan, they have something called forest bathing, which I love that. So you literally just go out into the forest and you sit there amongst the greenery, amongst the silence, the birds chirping. Science has found that the impact of that on the physiology of the body is profound. It lowers your blood pressure, it lowers your heart rate, it lowers the stress hormones in your body. It lowers your, did I say breathing rate already? Your breathing. It's a piece of mindfulness because you're sitting there just experiencing what is happening in the moment. But here's the other thing. Research also shows that just spending 20 minutes walking out in greenery, it increases productivity and it increases focus and concentration. So imagine if you do that after lunch or before class, where you have to now go and sit and listen to a lecture. Especially if it's the hardest class of the day. You know, in people who, this research was specifically in children who have ADHD. They found that a 20-minute walk with those children out in nature, then you bring them back to the classroom, it increased their productivity, increased their ability to concentrate, and increased their ability to focus on the task at hand. And they compared that to children who live with ADHD who took a walk in an urban area. So like on a busy street. No impact for those children. But the ones who had to walk out in the greenery and out in nature, very positive impact. So even now works down at the Red Deer Polytechnic Institute. She loves coming back to this campus because it's so beautiful compared to the campus in Red Deer. And their campus has greenery around it, but nothing like we have. Not the lakes, not something for you to embrace while you're here. Being outdoor also helps to synchronize our circadian rhythm, which this time of year is very important. But again, this classroom has no windows. I won't talk too much about the benefits of exercise and using exercise as self-care, other than to say that research shows people who exercise regularly, it increases their levels of happiness up to 20%. And it also increases levels of productivity by 15%. And for someone who is new to campus, needing to make friends, not sure how to get involved with clubs and stuff, going down to the gym and working out is a great way to start a new week. Or joining a Zoom class. So you get like double and triple the benefits. You get exercise. It's a piece of self-care. You're making friends. You're lowering your levels of loneliness and isolation. So stack these benefits on top of each other. Oh my word. Okay, this is the other one. Wow. Most of us, okay, here's a sad statistic. Research shows that children laugh on average 300 times a day. Yeah? How often do you think adults laugh a day? 15. And I'm sorry, you guys are all adults now. Never grow up. Never grow up. Never grow up. The physiological impact of laughter is profound. And laughter can be an amazing healing technique. It strengthens your immune system strongly. It sets off that same parasympathetic nervous system response that you get with other types of self-care. Initially, when you start laughing, especially if you're laughing really hard, your stress response kicks in, but then the parasympathetic nervous system comes in and the relaxation, where you're lowering your blood pressure, you're relaxing. It's a great way to relax these muscles when you laugh. So don't underestimate the power of laughter, especially if it's hard rolling laughter. Someone showed me this the other day, and I thought it fit in. This is my favorite one. I put my grandma on speed dial, called that instantly. I'm not a fan of social media, so I
Insta, it's like it's background, it's loud.
My last couple comments, and then I will let you guys. Some other things to think about when thinking of self-care. Again, be mindful of your boundaries. Don't get yourself involved in so many self-care activities that you're exhausted. That's really counterproductive. Don't go it alone. If, again, you're the type of person you know you won't get outside and walk by yourself, get a buddy. Find someone who will go out and walk with you. And then you guys can keep each other on task. And the last one, intentionally manage your input. And by that I mean, watch what you're doing on social media. Watch what you are consuming on social media. There is, again, so much research today. You know? Start small and grow. I feel so fortunate that social media came at the end. I have no interest in it. Period in the story. I think influencing and influencers is my last words, final words for you. Start small, create a routine, and build it from this. All right, that's it. Thank you.
I learned something about self-care. Just a reminder, some of you came late. Please be on time. Our class is important. Thank you.